My first name is Jacqueline Lopez. My major is child development, and I'm coming from the campus of California State University of Northridge.
My name is Carlos. My major is aerospace engineering, and my campus is San Diego State University.
Okay.
Yeah, my first name is Meadow. My major is wildlife conservation, and my campus is Humboldt State.
My name is Jonathan. My major is communicative disorders, and I am from CSUN.
My name is Kara Tran Wright. My major is applied mathematics, and I am at San Diego State University.
My first name is Sema. My major is microbiology, and my campus is San Diego State University.
My name is Melissa. I'm a computer science major with a minor in Spanish, and I am attending CSU SEM.
My name is Haley Seuss. I'm majoring in English education, and I go to CSU Chico.
Isolated.
I would say disconnected.
I'd say it was unconventional.
Virtual.
I would say kind of odd, because it was like something new, but it wasn't really, it was kind of, it felt more like me in the second part of my senior year, kind of starting off with that online aspect. So it definitely was odd because I didn't know how to feel about it.
They're almost polar opposites. I mean, the last year of high school is your senior year, so there's all this buildup, like, oh my gosh, I'm finished. Where you have a bunch of events going through the year, like you have your senior sunrise and all these senior events. So then it's very like focused on like you're like celebrating going out of school, like you're with your friends, you're with your group, versus you go into school and then it's like there's nothing. It's like there's all this buildup for like nothing. So then it was just kind of disappointing to go in and have like be by yourself and just sitting on a computer. And it's like, this is what I graduated high school for, to sit on my computer for days, like hours at a time. So just kind of, it was kind of, yeah, there's like a lead up with no like, for no reason.
I actually made a schedule because I feel like at the beginning of my fall semester, like when I went to orientation as well, the students like the second year, third year, and fourth years, they would always tell us like, make a schedule, plan out your classes, it'll help you out a lot. But I didn't really interpret that. I was just like, no, it's okay. Like I got this. It'll probably just be like high school. It's not in that way because I mean, yes, I'm not gonna say like, oh, like you're not gonna pass your classes or anything, but it's way better to have a schedule. That way you have time to study and things like that.
And then like socially, Aztec Nights was like a big event on SDSU to like have students like welcome week. We didn't have a welcome week. I read one in-person class, and I was like, I have no idea where to go. I don't know where campus begins or ends.
Yeah, I was anxious about getting used to the campus. I was very nervous about being lost. I was nervous about going late to class. This is something I don't want to ever happen to me. But so the first day I was on the map. I was an hour early, just waiting to make sure I know where to get things. And as I'm walking around, I kind of make a mental map of where everything is, which is really helpful. So after this first week, I feel more comfortable
because I feel like students just don't engage because I mean, for us, like we don't even know what the campus looks like. So, and they'll tell us like, oh, we have this on campus. It's located here and here, but then it's like, it's there, but like I don't know exactly where. So I think it'd be good to like host events on campus, and then hopefully the students could come over and like get to like see the environment of our campus that we haven't been on.
So I've been making note cards so that I could like quiz myself on all the resources, but I don't know where they are. in the actual campus. So if anyone was ever on campus who I have as a mentee, it'll be pretty awkward. I haven't started doing meetings with them yet, but yeah. So I'm on campus though now, actually, so I'll be able to get used to it. But I don't have any in-person classes, so I guess I'll just have to kind of find my own way around and like look at things. I'm not really sure. Yeah, but it's definitely awkward.
For engaging with the social life of the campus, I think just sophomores are essentially freshmen, just with like a different higher level of education, I would say. So just like having those events open for freshmen and sophomores and kind of just combining them into one group and like, oh, like this is like orientation and events and stuff, because they're basically their familiarity with the school and the social life is at the same level. So I think just combining that, like having events for not just like expanding it to those two like grade levels in terms of orientation, welcome weeks, and those types of events, but help the students get engaged in the social life of like the college campus.
I just was mostly, I was partly guilty of being a lot focused on classes, which what I said before was something I speak from experience, that it was damaging for mental health, how focused I got. So, and then just generally virtual events aren't the same, which was my mentality at the time. But in retrospect, I probably should have, for just to get my mind out of class for a second.
So definitely a lot of kids were going through like really hard times during that semester, and so they would be understanding in like terms of assignments being, you know, like at least a little late. So yeah, they'd give us a chance at like turning in assignments.
I guess I can't say that it's for all professors, but to remember that a student's that mental health is a big issue with students, and I think they need to hear that more often, because a lot of times they give strict schedules, and a lot of professors are unflinching with their schedules, which I do understand. But at the same time, there are different situations that happen that may require an exception to those rules. In addition, just piling all that information on us does hurt a lot of students' mental health. So just generally keeping in mind our own mental health and not constantly crunching with assignments, and being understanding of the students.
A lot of teachers keep mentioning the possibility of going back online. So, and I know they're like talking like, oh, this is like our contingency plan if the Delta variant spreads and we have to go back online. So that's just kind of, that makes me nervous or anxious, because with my credits or with my GEs, like I'm like a year ahead. So it's like, oh my gosh, am I ever gonna have like a full year of like real college, or is it all gonna be online and I'm never gonna like experience like having like being like, oh, this is how you find classes, this is what you do in classes, how you take notes and all that stuff. So that's just like that, having that in the back of my head, that there's a chance to like go back online and repeat my first year all over again, makes me a little nervous and anxious.
The first week of school, I actually experienced a new kind of anxiety that I have never experienced before. I've always been very outgoing in classrooms. I want to be a teacher. So like talking in a classroom, I'm very, very comfortable with. I will be the first and last person to answer. But the first week of school, I was so anxious in classrooms, and like to the point where it was almost like I needed to walk out. And I like called my mom and I was like, this is so weird, Mom. Like I can't even sit, like I'm like nervous about how I'm taking notes if the person next to me is like paying attention to what writing utensil I'm using. And it was just a very weird anxiety. This week, it's been a little bit better, but I guess just kind of transitioning out of that online mindset of I need to turn my camera off, I need to turn my mic off, and immersing myself in the classroom again. So I hope that that continues to get better throughout the year.
I think just being in a room with like a lot of people, like since all those people were like in my little screen back then, now it's just like, oh, we're gonna be in person this time, we're gonna actually talk and actually make friends. So I think that's what I'm most anxious about, and just having all those homework and assignments.
Maybe because they did say, my campus did say that for the spring semester we might be coming back. So I guess I am feeling anxious for that because it's like, oh, okay, so human interaction again. So it's kind of like nerve-wracking because like, am I gonna be like social with them or am I not? But then it's kind of like exciting because you get to see people again. And it's like maybe I'll have classes with the same people I had last year or not.
Probably also making friends. Yeah, it's definitely nerve-wracking, and quarantine is kind of like socially, I don't know, put me in a little bubble of my own, so I forget how to talk to people. Yeah.
It's not something that I was expecting. I was like expecting that I was going to be so excited to be back in a room with people and it was going to be just like great. And I like walked in and I was just like, I need to turn my camera off. Like I like explained that to a professor. I was like, that's what it feels like. And even online, like I had my camera on most of the time, but in person it was just like panic kind of, but it's getting better for sure.
I feel like it can be a little awkward at some points because, not everyone's just kind of there. They have the cameras turned off and, everyone's on mute. Nobody's going to really say anything. And then it'll take, like, let's say the speaker's done speaking, ask the question, right? They're kind of waiting, right? The chats would take forever to load. And so once they pop up, it's like, oh, okay, thank goodness someone said something.
Yeah, it was more just like, oh, I have to like sign in through Zoom now. And it wasn't that exciting. I like the class, I'm not gonna lie, but it was just not that fun. Like just being in, like looking at a screen, talking to like people through a screen. And like it also kind of made it awkward with students because I feel like in person we like talk more, or like since we're like forced to be in a little group, but virtually some people just had their cameras off. They didn't really participate. So it'd be just like one person talking or like two people doing the work. So that was tough.
Well, me personally, I think other people too, but I just didn't want to interact with people because I'm just like, I don't know who you are. And like during Zoom, like everyone usually has their cameras off. So you're just kind of like I don't even know if they pay attention or not. So it's more like, I'm not sure. And
we've had professors do breakout rooms via Zoom, and nobody would speak in those breakout rooms. It was awkward. I tried to initiate conversation, but it just wasn't there.
Yeah, I do remember having a problem with that. Like in a group, it was like a little separated group from Zoom session. It was definitely hard to talk to. I guess it's so awkward. But yeah, it was kind of like a hi, how are you, kind of thing. And then we were just silent for like the rest of the 15 minutes until we had to go back inside the meeting. It was that was pretty much how it was.
My classes, absolutely not. You couldn't talk to anyone. Everyone's cameras were off. No one typed in the chat. No one did anything. And so in the classes, there was like no group chats. Or there was some group chats, but then it was just academic questions. And you didn't know who was in your class. You don't know what the person looks like. You don't know anything about them. And you couldn't sit down and be like before or after class, like, oh, hi, like, where are you from? So we just go in, turn off everyone's cameras, everyone's muted, and you're just watching the teacher go, and then you log off. So there was no social aspect to anything.
I would say students will be more motivated when they know there's hands-on learning, as well as, they could think about in the future and be motivated for what they want to do in the future, are great ways for students to be more academically involved and motivated.
Truly finding out like what I want to do in terms of major, because I've heard it's just a better experience on campus to find out what you really want to do rather than like, you know, at home.
I think really having conversation about how important it is to be engaged. I find myself walking through campus realizing that the time that you're in college is so short and we've already missed part of it. And so becoming engaged is so important, and talking about ways that students can get engaged and encouraging engagement in the classroom as well is really important. And I think that that's kind of been something good that came out of the whole pandemic is flipped classrooms became a really big thing where students would like watch the lecture before and then come to class and talk about it. And that to me encourages engagement in the classroom because students are working together more, and that helps them to connect with each other. And I think talking about the resources on campus that help with engagement, like clubs and different activities, because I think my class doesn't realize how important engagement is because we missed it. We did the whole year without it. And so that's just how it is. And that's not how it's supposed to be. So I think having more conversation about it and encouraging students in that is a good way to help.
I think by creating a safe environment, which includes like active listening, acknowledgement of the person speaking, as well as encouragement to speak up from, personal experience or from academic studies and academic experience involved for a discussion, right? I feel like students will be more confident in speaking up. A safe and brave environment is a great way for students to participate socially in discussions and in academic discussions as well. They'll be more confident in being involved in school as well if they know that there is a safe environment to be who they are and to know people who also feel that way as well.
I would say like telling students to go to the office hours more. Like I for like my first semester, like I was told that, but I also I was like, nah, I don't think I'll need it. But then like during that same semester, I was like, yeah, I can't, because there was classes I was struggling with, and I was like, yeah, I can't leave this till last minute. And I had a mentor who also told me like, oh, take advantage of tutoring and office hours. So I would say like students should like look into that more, even though like they'll get annoyed and be like, no, I don't need this. No, it comes in handy, and you could get like letter recommendations as well from professors.
I would encourage the leaders at my campus to be engaged in order to encourage the students to be engaged. It's so noticeable to students when the professor or the leader isn't engaged in what they're doing and isn't engaged in how the students are feeling. And I've walked into classrooms and the first thing the professor asks is, how are you guys doing? And that, just asking that means so much because it means that they notice that you're feeling something. And so continuing to ask that and know that a lot of students feel like they're the only person in the room feeling the way that they're feeling. And professors just should be engaged in the way that their students are feeling. And especially my class, I think that we don't really realize that the way we feel about school matters anymore because everything was so out of our control. But the way we feel about it really, really does matter. It matters how we're gonna succeed in college or not. And so I think staying engaged with students is the most important thing.
I'm definitely looking forward to making friends. I've made a few already. Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
I've made a few friends in programs that have small circle tutoring groups that I attended virtually. These I made a few friends, but they were mostly academic friends, friends that we would communicate for schoolwork, for what they've been up to and how they study for this exam or the other exam. Other than that, I didn't make any friendship outside of school.
But I saw people's faces, and now that I'm on campus, I'll recognize them and be like, hey, nice to meet you in person, you know? But other than that, no deep connections with people.
Okay.
No, I did talk to classmates and all that. And they were really nice and all that, but I didn't get that friendship that I was expecting, like as if I was in person. So it was just like, oh hi, like I'm Melissa, nice to meet you, and then just do the work and that's it. Like never be in a breakout room again. So yeah.
Out of high school, you just get that. I guess you just make new friends, right? Like, so I did want to have get like a friend group, you know what I mean? Like find that tight knit in college, you know?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to make many friends in my classes since they're virtual again. So I kind of have to go out and do it myself, you know what I mean?
I feel like I missed out on a lot of experiences. Academically, there's still like, I remember I was signing up to do a summer research program. And I asked for like letters of recommendation from professors that you're like close with or professors that you like knew like you could connect with. And I was like, oh, I don't have any professors that I could send. That's like, they don't know who I am. They don't know my name because of like Zoom and that platform.
Oh, I guess for me, it was more of like not being able to communicate with my professor, like on one-on-one, trying to ask questions. And there was like, we were on a sort like limit virtually. It was like, oh yeah, you have like an hour for like the whole lecture. And then if you have questions, it'd be like 2 minutes, 5 minutes. And sometimes we weren't even finished asking questions. So I guess that one was a problem too.
I had a hard time connecting with my professors a lot of the time. It just, with especially asynchronous classes, it was really hard to honestly even remember their names. And that's not something against them. It's just, it was hard because I wasn't talking to them. I wasn't meeting them in person or even virtually like this. So that was hard. And also connecting with clubs and things like that. Like it was almost not worth it to sign up for them because you weren't going to be doing anything with them. So that was hard.
Just because of like the virtual setting, there was no community that you see at SDCU. You couldn't talk to faculty. They offered office hours, but online it's still really hard because mostly students use office hours to either connect with the faculty on like a regular school year, but this year was just mainly for like, you put a bunch of students in there and you're there just asking questions. So you never got like the one-on-one time with the professor to introduce yourself. And even with students, cameras are all off. Like you don't see who you're talking to in class. You don't see who else is in your class. It's just kind of a bunch of names that you draw out of a hat. So I think in that perspective, it's like it was very isolated on an academic level. And then socially, they try to hold social events, but it's the same thing. Cameras off, all names. So overall, there was no like personal connections. There was no community, like collective feel that you get from a regular school year.
For me, I would see things that I would want to do and just not go because a lot of the times when you do go in those rooms, there's nobody in there, and it's a lot more fun when there's people there. And like if it was in person, you know, you go and then you meet a bunch of people who like that thing. And that's like one of the main reasons you go to those events, you know? So yeah, I would say that. And then also just like, I'd rather spend time with my family in person than staring at people on a screen personally.
I would say connecting with students, my level, connecting with students from different majors was something that I missed out on. I always wanted to have like a study group, you know, and be a part of my community on campus. I missed out on that a lot. I wish I had like to build friendships early on with students in my major, so we can kind of be peers working together and studying with each other. I think, yeah, I missed out on that. I think that would be the biggest thing that I wish I had.